Look who's here. Have you been waiting long? Sorry to keep you waiting. I know, long night. You can't really hear it because the noise canceling microphone, but we've got whistling winds. It was a long night and there were thunderstorms all over the place. T-Rex, did you sleep well? Yes! Oh, sorry. It's all about timing. Get Rex out the door. Oh, we've got a mitt. There's a mitt sighting. How about Steve? Coming out, Steve? Tuesday, November 4th. It's election day. Who are you voting for? This is what it looked like in our front yard this morning. And all those signs out on the street and the sun and the wind. We've got the last of the political mailings. What a pile of them. Mostly a city councilor and school committee. And we've only got one person running for mayor in Weymouth. Mike Melise. Pretty much a lock, I guess. And it's beautiful blue sky. We say Tuesdays are good if you can get them because we've had so many high pressure systems coming in on Tuesdays. 49 degrees here just a few minutes before 8 a.m. And the high is way off to our south. So we have a high blowing in, cold air advection. And this is the day we've been talking about for some time. Bombogenesis is happening right now. That means a rapidly intensifying low pressure system. Here's the roundup of temperature and wind first thing this morning. You see, we were mostly in the 40s, so the cold is mostly up in the sky and the wind gusting past 30 miles an hour. The high-speed ferry, High Line from Hyannis to Nantucket is canceled this morning and probably will be all day long. We've got ferries running here, though. There's Mitt and Mitt's patio and the Cat Mint, and there's our ferry going into the Whitecaps, headed from Hingham to Boston. So it's not a bad day in New England. It's just very windy. Steve's having a good time chasing the leaves around. So yeah, I talk about the temperatures, but then I get off that map so quickly. So let's go to Mount Washington. I love the vertical profile here. It says so much. I mean, this is the first website I go to. And we're down to about 21 up top and still falling, but still 38, 39 degrees at the bottom. So in less than a 5,000-foot vertical, you have an 18-degree temperature gradient, and that is very unstable because you have cold air up in the sky, which is dense. You got warmer air down near the ground, which is less dense, and so that causes rising air. And it is snowing this morning on Mount Washington, a couple of inches. But I looked at the other webcams. Cannon Mountain was kind of frosted. Cannon may get a Cannon effect upslope just for a short time this morning, but the storm is moving so fast. And the guns are off at Killington because the wet bulb, again, is just a little too high. A wet bulb and being the temperature and the dew point, very close to about 33 degrees there at 3,700 feet at Killington. So just a little too warm for making snow. And we may have to wait until the next front on Thursday, but the fronts are all lined up and we're going to have 3 more fronts coming at us before we get to Veterans Day and some perhaps record cold air by then. A storm this morning on satellite. I'll just show you the western Atlantic. We still have a parade of storms off the Pacific. All right, this one now. You can see that storm about to come on shore on the west coast. One after another storms coming on shore. Polar air coming onto our side of the world. And there's that Bombogenesis storm. It's really taking up space all the way from the Canadian provinces with the front going down to Cuba. So we mentioned there was a triple stream, and last night as the front went through New England, what a line of showers and thunderstorms. Look at all the lightning that was happening there over western New York and Pennsylvania, and it held together at 10 o'clock. Caitlin Jesmonth, meteorologist, showed this radar image here. Did anyone in Barrington, Rhode Island or Somerset, Massachusetts see a tornado or hear or feel one last night? It was 10 o'clock and there were downpours, but that's a signature, the green against the red there on the Doppler of a tornado, and also the correlation coefficient would have shown some debris. So there may have been a brief tornado somewhere between Barrington and Somerset last night, and regardless of whether it was a tornado or not, there were a lot of trees knocked down. The wind gusted to 50 to 55 around Buzzards Bay. I went and captured this screen grab of the New Bedford ASOS at 10 o'clock, 10:30 last night with a gust of 52 miles an hour. And then a few minutes later at a quarter of 11, there was a wind gust of 44 miles an hour, just about a quarter to less than a quarter of an inch of rain with that line of showers and thunderstorms. But what about the rain in total? In New England, guess who got the most? Northern Vermont. Finally, Chris and Jennifer White, how much rain did you get at your house? Westfield, Vermont came in with 1.56 inches. I think that's the most I've seen. Yay, filling up the snowmaking ponds for the ski areas in northern Vermont. And then once again, southeastern Massachusetts, the most rain fell. Is that your Coco Roz? Max Dex? 0.72 in West Tisbury on Martha's Vineyard. Thank you, Max, for reporting your rainfall. Or are you in Craftsbury, Vermont? Or are you not even watching? Oh, speaking of watching, Bruce Cowan watches every day. And Bruce went scalloping yesterday, and he got captured by the Nantucket current getting off his scallop boat yesterday morning, and says it was a good day, good day. Hopefully there are fewer scallops this year than last year, because there were so many scallops last year, the price went down. And so abundant scallops is nice, but the fewer there are is even nicer. If you're a hard-working fisherman that's going to go out every single day and get scallops. All right, and are you going out in this weather today, Bruce? He said it was flat yesterday, windy today. I'm sure you're out there rocking and rolling. I made a video with Bruce, and this is us back in November of 2012, the day after a nor'easter, the sequel to Sandy nor'easter, we called it. And so it's not a glamorous world, is it? Scalloping. Yeah, I used to scallop when I was a little kid with my dad in Bass River, and hopefully someday they'll be back. All right, now we're going back to the weather. Well, Mitt wants to go inside. Mitt's had enough of this wind. I've kind of had enough of the wind too. So maybe if I just stand over here and I can talk without yelling and talk about this Bombogenesis. Yesterday I was doing some interaction with some meteorologists from southeastern Canada. And I started with Eddie Shear, and then we moved over. Rodney Barney kicked in, and then Dr. Chris Fogarty, fun name, Chris Fogarty, gave us a link to the record lowest barometric pressures on the Avalon Peninsula in eastern Newfoundland. For November, the record low barometer on land is in the order of 961 to 970 millibars. And our storm that went by last week was about 973, right? So very close to record low barometers this morning. But here's the forecast for this storm from the Ocean Prediction Center, deepening it to 949 millibars. So that would be record-shattering low pressure in eastern Canada on the Avalon Peninsula with this bomb cyclone that's happening today that we've been talking about for so long. Timeout. T-Rex wants to go in the door. That leaves just me and Steve. Steve's loving this. Steve's over there trying to swat at the swinging bird feeder, and I got him secured. Okay, so I got to go back out of the wind. Yeah, wind is air moving from high to low pressure. So the significance of a record low barometer means hurricane force winds over the Avalon Peninsula are possible, although the heaviest wind, as we saw yesterday, is on the southern and eastern side of the cyclone. So we'll have to do another analysis and verification on this tomorrow morning. So today, let's just go to what's going to happen here. I was going to show a bunch of other maps. The next system's coming at us on Thursday, well, Wednesday night, really. And so let's go to the Euro and track that out and try and get this done. I've had 2 posts in less than 20 minutes. I'm aiming for that again today. And there's our high to the south. It's when these highs go to the south, the westerly wind on the backside is much less cold than when they go to our north. When the highs go to our north, like last week with the Greenland block, the cold is resilient. But when the highs are to your south, the cold is not resilient. So we warm it back up tomorrow without probably the opportunity to put the snow guns on at Killington. But look at this clipper, this Pacific system, which had weakened, is going to re-strengthen starting in Alberta, Canada, and we call it the Alberta Clipper. And here it comes on Wednesday. They get the high pressure coming at us going off the mid-Atlantic states with the red lines advancing, warm enough for rain, but the cold lines are resilient, and the low is digging in over New York, and then it's slowing down a little bit as it deepens through 987, 983, and into the Gulf of Maine and out on Thursday morning, having left a lot of wind, rain for most of us, but snow from Mount Mansfield to Mount Washington, especially to Mount Katahdin. It could be a 6 to 12-inch upper elevation snowstorm that's pulling out very quickly on Thursday. A lot of isobars again, strong low pressure to the north in Canada and strong high pressure to the south in the United States. A lot of heat in Texas. Arctic cold coming across our side of the pole. And this is where I skipped right over the next event that's coming in so fast Friday night and Saturday. Looks like a little wave on a fairly weak front with a strong thermal gradient over us, but not a lot of isobars. Wet in southern New England on Saturday morning. Could be the first rain on Cape Cod on a Saturday in what, about 5 months? And then that low takes off, and there's weak cold air advection happening here in northern New England. Cold enough for some upslope snow on Saturday morning. On Sunday morning, but then Sunday afternoon, here comes another front, and this one is digging even further. It's a stronger dig over the Great Lakes, and the trough behind it is going to try and push this low up into southeastern Canada Sunday night and Monday. We've been talking about this as a moving target. If this moves a little further east and south, it's a snowstorm in northern New England, but at this point, it looks mostly like a cold rain that would end as snow in our mountains again on Sunday night and Monday. And hold on, there's more. There's a trough coming in southeastern Canada, and look at this by Tuesday at 1 a.m. That's 6Z, 1 a.m. on Tuesday. That is the 510 upper level Wayward polar vortex over New England next Monday night and Veterans Day. A lot of times that upper level signature is going to give you a coastal storm, but in this case, the coastal surface cyclogenesis has moved off to the east and the south, and we are not getting a Veterans Day storm, but we are getting record cold air aloft. Mount Washington probably down below zero for the first time this season, and instability clouds and squalls around, and that Wayward polar vortex anomaly for this time of year, 1 week after the bomb cyclone, will be lifting out, so we'll put it back into motion here, and so you get the high off to the south again. Warm air advection begins again next Wednesday, and now we take it out to Thursday, November 13th. And what do we have? We have a real strong high-pressure system in southeastern United States that would have record cold with it, but on the backside, you see the 570 thickness across Oklahoma and Texas. That is near record warm, so you have record cold exiting and record warm trying to come at us, and the front will be lifting north as a warm front probably about Wednesday or so, and there's another system coming in to the northwestern United States. That looks like a powerhouse, one after another. These storms coming in off the Pacific, and how that plays out in 10 to 15 days is a really wild card. I would say we're going to have a warm up around the 13th and 14th, and then another cold wave around the 15th and 16th, something like that. But there's enough cold in the tank here going forward. That's it for the weather, that we should be able to get those snow guns back on, and Killington should be able to operate by this weekend, is my guess. Otherwise, we're just building bases at some of the areas that are making snow. I think Sunday River turned on the guns, Whiteface, Jay Peak turned on the guns, and otherwise we just wait, because climatologically speaking, it's not till about Thanksgiving or so that you really get into cold enough for continuous snowmaking, and that's still a way away. All right, so yeah, I already covered Bruce. I was going to talk about Bruce in the end more, but Scallop season, and otherwise, we were just out here yesterday, and we started our end more very quickly. Steve is a little tangled here. Always tangled around Steve's rock. And we were looking over, and there was this stuff floating in the ocean, and then one of Luce's guys came over. Hey, good morning. Oh, look at that, clear cutting. This is great. Cleaning up this view for TK. Can you even hear us in the wind? And also, they're doing a bunch of plantings in here. So, just trying to restore native vegetation, whatever that is. Fighting the wind, and so I tried to fly the drone yesterday, and I almost lost it. So a little bit of drone and a couple of time lapses of the Wessagusset team taking out the moorings, mooring balls, and also the late day clouds advancing, those thunderstorms and those clouds from us yesterday, the DNA, one of the streams of the Bombogenesis. So yesterday's weather today is and more. Oh yeah, and at the end of the day yesterday, I did harvest a few more tomatoes. So I got a lot of work to do in the garden. The tomato plants are mostly done, but there are still some tomatoes. There's Steve, and I wanted to come and have a look at our rain gauge and see what we got. 0.14, and we still have some vines somewhat still alive here, but for the most part, they're gone by. But we're still having tomatoes every day. All right, and more yesterday's weather today, for real, now. Let's start the in-more already. It's just about 9 o'clock. We just finished yesterday's video, so yesterday's weather today. And it's almost like you read my mind with this debris that's floating in the water. Someone's coming over here to take care of it. So Luciano crew has got a skiff on the project now. Nice job. Not quite scallops. That's a piece of that crane mat that they're using. And Steve's over here. And let's make a time lapse. As soon as I upload the video I just shot, we'll make a time lapse of the mooring balls. Very entertaining, isn't it, Steve? I think it tries to take the water from underground and come this way. Yeah, you see on top of the chimney and my weather instrument there? Oh, how long have you been out of the screen? Darn. All right, let's close in here and get a closer up how the magic works. It's not magic, Tim, it's just called work. Lifetimes of experience. I did some drone flying, but my camera had died, so I don't have the video from my iPhone, so there's no audio with the drone flight, unless I have my iPhone camera rolling. And I kind of lost sight of the drone, so I was getting a little nervous. I tried to send it out over the buoy tenders and mooring tenders. And then there was a duck. I think I might have seen a surf scouter duck. And obviously, I didn't do a very good job flying. Well, I guess it's not obvious. I was nervous. Did about a 15-minute flight. So now what's going on? We do have raindrops here at 3 o'clock. Got a yacht. Zoom in, got to talk louder. The yacht, and we've got sky waves. Beautiful sky waves. Been communicating with meteorologists in southeastern Canada that are prepared to take a hit by this Bombogenesis and talking about how it has potential to obliterate the lowest barometric pressure on record in November. So this is a significant event. Whoa! Flyby. That's happening over our head. The phasing of the triple streams. I know the impact in New England's not going to be that great, but it's such a spectacle I couldn't stop. Can't stop talking and looking. And meantime, as the sun is going down in the next hour, why don't we get a time lapse of the clouds moving in over Boston. At most levels of the atmosphere, the air is coming from the south. The storm offshore would have the air coming at us from the northeast, so we'll see if those clouds don't turn around and reverse. The ones that are over Boston. And get the boats going by and the clouds going by. And I'll just let this roll until it gets soaked or the sun goes down or something else. But this is it for today. Piano music. Waves in the water, waves in the sky. Incredibly low tide. Beaver moon, full beaver moon.